Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel here. Today I am in Cairo and I'm gonna be talking about how my friend Alex actually got screwed over trying to come to Cairo with me. That's Alex. So today I'm gonna be talking about how the airline refused for him to actually get on the plane because of his COVID test and what he had to do and how much he actually had to pay to be able to come to Egypt because we had a lot of bookings. So before we start, don't forget to actually give a like to this video because it really helps me know if you guys like it or not, and also to smash the subscribe button. All right, thank you so much. So the story begins at traveling to Cairo, Egypt. So we booked with Royal Jordanian. Now the tickets were very cheap. The tickets were about $620, and the reason behind that was it was a promotion done by Royal Jordanian so they can get more people to travel. So the tickets were very nice. They were very cheap. It was about $620. Usually they are like $800, $900. But so the ticket was from O'Hare to Amman, Jordan, and then from Amman, Jordan, you go to Cairo. He went to the airport and it was okay. We had to have a couple of things before we can go to the airport. So to be able to travel, you have to have your vaccination card and a PCR test. Now, the reason why he wasn't able to travel was because he is vaccinated and he did have his vaccination card, but they did not like his PCR test. So when he went to the airport at O'Hare, he was going to the Royal Jordanian part and he was talking to them and he was trying to tell them that he has the code, he has the vaccination card, he has everything. But so they rejected him because he did not have a QR code on his actual test, and also because the test tested for an antigen that they did not like. They claimed that Cairo was not going to accept the test when he traveled, so that they just felt like they should not even let him travel at all. So the next thing was they told him that if he went to get a rapid test at O'Hare Airport, then it would all be good and he would be able to travel again. So obviously, because he put so much money into the trip, he was like, okay, I'll go. And he had enough time to be able to make it to the plane back. So he had to go all the way to a Hilton by the airport, which was a good amount of like walking. And he went to got the rapid test and it cost him about $120, which is extremely expensive. It's not something that anyone should do. They should actually do it beforehand, but he did it because he had so much money on the line. And then he went back running to try to catch the plane. When he got back to the plane, they told him that, oh, this is a rapid test, we actually don't accept rapid tests, even though they told him that that test would actually work. So he asked them, what else can I do? What else is there to do so I can actually make my flight, because I put so much money on the line. I paid $120 for this test, and now you're telling me it does not do anything. So what can I do? And then they told him, unfortunately, sir, we can't do anything. You can try to reschedule, and then rescheduling, since it's the same day, it would be more money you have to pay for it. So it would be a lot more money you have to pay so you can be able to use that same ticket again. So he went back home. It was so bad because he was so pissed at them, but he went back home. He called the airline like the lady told him to, and he tried to reschedule the ticket. But unfortunately, since it was a promotion, like I said in the very beginning of the video, he could not do anything about it, and the promotion cannot be rescheduled. Now, the crew was very rude to him, and he did not actually get any answer. It took him 3 hours just on the line to be able to get that answer out of them that you cannot reschedule. And he asked them, what else can I do? It was not my fault that I missed it. It was actually your fault. And they told him there's nothing else that we can do. You have to reschedule the entire trip again. Now, since it was the same day and he was trying to travel the next day or the day after, it would have been so much more money because you are so close to the date that you're trying to travel, so the tickets will be much higher. So he asked them how much would it be to actually get another ticket. He was just looking for a departure ticket, and he thought he can use the other arrival ticket when he was trying to come back, but we'll get to that after. He tried to ask them how much for a one-way ticket, and they told him it was about $1,300. Now, $1,300 for a one-way ticket is too much, and he told them that. So he tried to go and see what other options he can find. He was able to look around, and he found that United had a ticket for $800 for a one-way, which was much better than the $1,300. So he booked with United, and then United had a self-check-in online, so he had to put all his information, his passport, all that stuff, and then he had to put his COVID vaccination and his PCR test online. Now he did that, and then he clicked it, and then it actually went through, and it was fine. And then when he went to the airport, when he had to travel the next day, he actually did the self-check-in correction, or how they do it, and they let him fly. He was fine to fly, so that was another $800 ticket for United. Then he traveled all the way from Chicago to Germany, and then in Germany they check the test in again to make sure that you are good. Now, a lot of people at the airport were getting screwed over because they didn't have a barcode or a QR code on their tests, but he was fine because he did have the QR code on his test. Then when he traveled from Germany to Cairo, at Cairo they checked the barcode, but they did not even know what they were looking at because they didn't care. They just looked for a barcode or a QR code onto the vaccination and the PCR test, and they let him through. They did not care that he had an extra antigen or anything like that, like Royal Jordanians told him to. So he arrived at the airport. He did not really have any problems. They were fine with him with the test that he had, and did not even say anything about the antigen or anything that Royal Jordanian told him that he had wrong. So he had to get another ticket because he actually had a lot of stuff that was planned. We had tickets from Cairo to Luxor and all that stuff. He had to reschedule. He had to pay extra fees. He had to lose a bunch of reservations that he already had a deposit for that you cannot return. So in the very end, he actually had to pay the $620 in the beginning. That was the Royal Jordanian flight that we had that was on discount. He then had to pay $120 at the airport to be able to get the rapid test, and then he had to pay $800 to United because he had the one-way ticket. But the story is not over yet because Royal Jordanian did not actually finish screwing him over, and they screwed him over one more time. So when he got here, he actually thought that it was okay that he can actually go back on the same ticket that he had because he only missed the first part of the ticket actually coming here, and he thought that actually going back to the States, it was gonna be fine. But his mom actually told him that it might not be the same way and that he actually should check before, because someone else told him that it might be that you have to pay extra money or that they might have canceled his actual ticket. So he checked, he got on the line again on them, and it took him another 3 hours to get an answer. But at the end, they told him that since he missed the first part of the ticket, he actually has to pay extra money to be able to travel back to the States. So he asked him how much he has to pay, and then it ended up being that he had to pay about $400 more to reinstate the ticket. So Royal Jordanian was not actually done yet screwing him over because they had another trick for him. He actually called them again, and then they told him that he has to pay about $400 because they canceled the ticket for him since he missed the first part of the ticket, and that he had to pay another fee for it, which was the $400, and that if he doesn't pay, then he cannot use the ticket and he would have to get another way back home. So he thought that it was going to be cheaper to actually take the $400 and just give it to them rather than try to get another ticket, because prices right now are very expensive, especially around Christmas and New Year's Day. So he paid the $400, and then so he had to actually pay the $400, and then in the end, his ticket that started off being a really great ticket because it was $620 ended up actually costing him to be over $2,000 because he had to pay for a new ticket, he had to pay for the cancellation fee, he had to pay for the rapid test, he had to pay for the actual ticket that he cannot really use, and in the very end, he had to also pay for the things that he had booked but that he could not attend to. So there was that. He had to pay for rescheduling fees for the travel that we had domestically inside of Cairo. It was just a really big headache, and in the end, he actually had so much stress that this vacation actually caused him that he is now trying to enjoy. But in the end, there's a couple of things that we should actually keep in mind when we are booking things. So in the beginning, please actually look at the airline that you're traveling with and see what the restrictions are for that airline, and then also you have to check what is needed from you for the country that you're traveling to. Make sure that you also check what is restricted and what is not, and what is needed from you for the country that you're traveling to. So there are a lot of countries that are in Europe and other places that don't really require and don't really care about if you have a QR code or not. But a place like Egypt and Dubai, they actually do care about the QR code, even though they don't even know what they're looking for and they never check it. Here in the Cairo, we traveled, we did not even get checked at all. They didn't even care what was going on your paper. They just cared that you had a QR code. So the big part is to actually check and then check what your PCR test is actually testing. Rapid tests usually don't really work for a lot of the countries, especially in the Middle East. And also a PCR test, make sure that when you're taking the PCR test that you check with the person that you're taking it with to make sure that it will have a barcode if you need a barcode, or what things should be tested for the country that you're traveling to. And then in the very end, also if you're traveling to another place, make sure that nothing is really too clustered up. So if you have reservations right after your flight, if anything happens, God forbid, that might actually affect your flight. So make sure that when you are planning things and when you're scheduling things, that you make it where it's a little bit spaced up, especially if anything happens. And in that case, you're not gonna lose as much money as he did. He lost a lot of money because we had planes and hotels that were booked and they were right after the plane that we actually came from Amman. So that's why he lost a lot of money. So, and a piece of advice would be that you try to space things out, especially that if you can't really know what will happen in the future, and that will be the best way for it. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you guys actually enjoy this content. We will be trying to make a little bit more of finance videos when we're here in Cairo, just to make sure that you guys know how much it costs us to be here, and if you guys can do it as well. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, leave them down below.